So we all know the old saying, pressure is privilege. But in my opinion, it's a privilege for Texas to have this type of pressure going into the SEC. Everyone is expecting to get the best version of the Longhorns moving forward. They're fresh off of winning a Big 12 title. They just went to the college football playoff. They've added in a ton of talent that feels like it's good enough to win right away in a new conference. And so now there is a ton of pressure in Austin. But in the global spectrum of things, there's going to be pressure on certain coaches and players. And in my opinion, one of the most pressured players in all of college football has got to be Quinn Ewers in 2024. So let's go and discuss what's going on. SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video. Hit the ring notification down below. That way you don't miss a single episode of SECU, because we're talking college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure that also you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. And to make sure that you're keeping up with your daily source of SEC content, visit SECUnfiltered.com. This episode's brought to you by RHOBACK. Use promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, polos, hoodies, shorts, much, much more. Look good, feel good this upcoming fall. Game day right around the corner. Make sure you feel that way with RHOBACK, SECU promo code. Quinn Ewers is going into the SEC as one of the more dominant quarterbacks in terms of pedigree and media style. People are going to be talking about him because of the program he plays for and the way the season finished. You have to remember that even with the highs and the lows last year, Quinn Ewers did set a Big 12 championship record for the most passing yards in a game against Oklahoma State. He sliced and diced up the Cowboys defense, and then he had to go to battle against Michael Penix in the Sugar Bowl. And if that's not enough for you, he went into Tuscaloosa with a Big 12 roster for the most part and won by double digits in the house that Nick Saban built against a team that eventually would find their way into the college football playoff and win the conference. So expectations are high. But here's the thing about Quinn Ewers. He's been very good. He's been a very, very good quarterback. That's it. Not great, not elite, not superstar material, very good quarterback. And being a very good quarterback is fine, especially in an offense where you look at Steve Sarkisian and how he likes to run the football, how he likes to have his wide receivers playing, how he likes to utilize the 12 personnel. It's okay to be very good, but now we got to see you turn it up a notch to great. Because unfortunately for Quinn and for the Texas squad that most people aren't understanding, it's not the same as it was last year. Yes, the offensive line is going to be phenomenal. Yes, I'm very high on CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue. Yes, I like the transfers that they brought in. But there's so much untapped potential. Going into 2023, you already knew what to expect from Xavier Worthy. You kind of had a good inclination about what Jatavian Sanders could do. You had a good feel about what that defensive line was going to be, and you certainly knew that Quinn, in the right situation, even with a lesser tier schedule, was going to be able to put up the monumental numbers to get Texas back to its heyday, back to what we know Texas is supposed to be. So, unfortunately, you don't have that anymore. There is no more Quinn Ewers. Adonai Mitchell is now playing in the NFL. You don't have Jatavian Sanders. You don't have Jonathan Brooks. You don't have even all of your same offensive line back because you lost your veteran in Christian Jones. The defense may be great. It also may take a few reps for them to get underneath themselves because of the pieces that are coming in. So Quinn has to deliver. You need to see A-plus material play from a quarterback that you believe can live up to expectations, especially in the SEC where the schedule becomes more daunting. And I'm not going to buy into the notion at all that Texas and Oklahoma are not prepared for the SEC, that weekends in Lexington or weekends in Columbia, Missouri, or South Carolina are going to be as easy or as challenging as what you see in Morgantown and Manhattan. They're mentally prepared for that. So I'm not going to go buy into that notion whatsoever. But the competition is going to be much more challenging. Playing against a Kansas State squad is not going to be as easy as playing against Kentucky squad. There's going to be more rigorous challenges and adaptabilities. And also, you don't have that veteran core to wait for you. You don't have a Jordan Whittington in the slot that's been here for years and has been a security blanket for quarterbacks. You don't have that vertical threat that's proven like Xavier Worthy, who will go down as one of the best wide receivers to walk in Austin. You don't have a 6'2" phenom that just needed to find his right system like Adonai Mitchell. In fact, in my opinion, when you look at Silas Bolden, Jonte Cook, Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, most of them haven't reached their peak just yet. And so they kind of all are playing a little bit like an Adonai Mitchell going into last season. And that's not to say that they can't all pan out. That's not to say that all of them can't eventually find their stride and become household figures in the SEC and lead Texas right back to a national title conference championship appearance. Any one of those conversations could easily go on, but you don't know it right now. And so until we see it from the opposing guys, until we see it from the supporting cast, this is where Quinn has to be the leading man. And the problem is that there is going to be conversations on every throw that is micromanaged. Good, bad, indifferent, right or wrong, it doesn't matter because everyone knows who's sitting and waiting in the wings. Everyone knows that people will start calling for number 16, a football royalty in the NFL on the collegiate level, if Quinn starts to take a step back. Not ready for the SEC. Good Big Ten quarterback, but not great quarterback for the SEC. The way I view Quinn Ewers so far in his career is a lot like how I view Joey Votto. People have talked about this whenever they did the interview. It went viral on Mad Dog Sports Radio, where he said, "You're not a Hall of Famer. You're in the Hall of very, 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 very good." Quinn Ewers is not an elite quarterback in terms of what we've seen so far. He's a very, 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 very good quarterback. He could be elite, though. He could be one of the best in the SEC. Would it shock me to see him lead the conference in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, passer rating, and be a big reason why Texas is going to go to the college football playoff? No. And honestly, they're going to need Quinn to be that way if they want to make it to the college football playoff. Guaranteed first-round bye, hold their own against teams like Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia. They're going to need Quinn to be up to that level. And if he is, well, the sky's the limit for Texas. You realize that. Having an offense that can hit this stride, especially going into year 3, the understanding the ins and outs of the master techniques of Sark's O, at this point, there's not much more for Quinn to learn, which only means he's elevating his squad to new levels, which means there's definitely going to be conversations of going to New York City, All-American status. Scott's going to be looking at that and saying, this kid has what it takes to play on Sundays, translate the Saturday performance to the Sunday showcase. All of that's there. But Quinn faces the pressure because of everything that's micromanaged with Texas. Every meticulous detail down to the way you line up, the way you break the huddle will be under the microscope for some people because of who's waiting in the wings, because what the expectations are, because where Texas is, the pressure of having the privilege to play in the SEC and be considered already a favorite to win the conference before you've even taken a step onto the field against another opponent on the regular Saturday basis. It is a privilege to have this type of pressure if you're Texas. And in my opinion, it's a privilege to have this type of pressure if you're Quinn Ewers. The doubters are only going to continue to rise the more and more you throw, the more and more you play, the more and more you have performances, good, bad, or indifferent in the SEC. So shut them up. Shut me up. Shut most people up about it. But Quinn Ewers, without question, when you look at the other quarterbacks in the SEC, whether it be youngcomers like Nico Iamaleava or Jackson Arnold, or even if you throw in maybe a guy like a Lenore Sellers or a Taylon Green, they're not going to face this type of pressure in year 1. When you look at the veterans, Carson Beck, Brady Cook, Jackson Dart, they're not going to face this type of pressure because most people already know what to expect from them. Even a Jalen Milroe going into a brand new offense is not going to face this type of pressure because, well, it's Kalen DeBoer show. It's no longer the Nick Saban showcase. And even a guy like Graham Mertz, who plays on a lackluster team, most people would probably give him the benefit of the doubt, saying he's probably the only reason why you're making strides. Quinn Ewers faces the most pressure in college football this year, at least in the SEC, for my opinion. But pressure is a good thing because you want to know what? If he lives up to the hype, Texas has a very good shot of not only winning the conference title, but also winning multiple playoff games en route to Atlanta for a shot at the national championship. And if they don't, well, unfortunately, then we have to have the conversation of what's it going to take for Texas to finally reach this level? And what will it take for the next quarterback not to fall under these expectations? But let me know in the comment section down below, is Quinn Ewers the most pressured player in the SEC for 2024? If not, who do you think is the most pressured player going into this season, or pressured coach? Let me also know what you think by downloading the podcast version of the show. Leave a 5-star review if you love this type of content. Leave a 1-star review, which you wouldn't, but if you hate this type of content, make sure that also you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. And to keep up with our daily content, visit SECUnfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks, later.